Hello world, it's me, Daniel. I seem to be on a weird sort of ladybug kick with my videos recently, and I have no explanation, so I'm just gonna continue.
What's with your hair?
Shut up.
And get a backdrop!
Shut up! So it's fall here in Iowa City, and lately I've been noticing a buttload of ladybugs around. This isn't a shock to me. The main constituency of the world's animal population is, in fact, insects and other arthropods. And specifically in the grassland habitats of Iowa, as compared to my home in the woodland northeast, we get a lot less mammalian fauna and more of the insects and the birds that feed off of them. So I'm no stranger to bugs, and I've sort of gotten used to the fact that there are just more of them out here, but still, these ladybugs are everywhere! Like here they are congregating around the inside of the windows in the building where I work. I counted the ones in this picture. There were 21 of them, all around the inside of one window. In this footage, there were 43. Right, so I've been seeing these little guys everywhere, and I've even seen a few of them in my house. Now I have criteria for bugs in my house and what happens to them. If they're relatively harmless, I might try catch and release, but anything that can bite me, sting me, or stink me is probably going to die in some fashion. I don't enjoy it, and I understand that there are things like spiders that help keep other pests down. Unfortunately, they're also really creepy and have bitey parts that they aren't afraid to use on things other than other pests, so they go bye-bye. Stink bugs too. Back home and around here, the best way I found to deal with them is the toilet. Also in Iowa, we have a whole bunch of these little black field crickets, some of them bigger. Comparatively, I don't mind them because back home we have these buggers. They're called camel crickets, but some people call them spider crickets or cave crickets because they look butt ugly. They are positively grotesque. All they do is look weird and eat clothes if you have them, but they have really poor eyesight and they like to jump towards any approaching movement, which adds substantially to the freak out factor. So whenever I see the little black chirpies here in Iowa, I'll evict them, but I don't freak out or anything. Anyway, occasionally I'll see one of these ladybugs get into my house, or I'll see them on the bus or in my office, and I'll just leave them be. My reasoning is they do nothing to me. They don't even have the potential to do anything to me. They look pretty, they eat aphids, and if luck exists, they're good at it. I'll also handle them just for fun, which is something I do only for certain insects nowadays. Talk to anyone who knew me as a child, and they'll tell you a story of the boy they called the Gypsy Moth Caterpillar Kid. So a few weeks ago, the bug guy came over to check for roaches. It's something my apartment building does periodically. And I was kind of sleepy. I was still in my robe. I was joking with him about how every time he comes over, I have a bunch of unwashed dishes in the sink. How embarrassing. And he's like, well, I haven't found any bugs yet, despite those dirty dishes, so that's gotta be a good sign. And I was like, yeah, fair point. Anyway, while he's making his way around the place, I say, you know, I'm from the Northeast, and I've never seen as many ladybugs as you guys have here. And you know what he said? He said, yeah, those are fake. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, those are false ladybugs. They're actually a kind of Japanese beetle, and they can bite. And sometimes they'll pee on you, and it'll be like a stink bug, and it'll smell and burn a little bit. Well, I was duly horrified by this, and I asked him, are they harmful? And he's like, not really. I mean, they'll chew through your crops. And I was like, that can be harmful. Since I moved out here, I've really been trying to sympathize with the plight of the American farmer. I don't want to be condescending about it, but I'm really trying to just understand. And so that was like, yeah, that's a problem around here. So after that little discovery, as you can well imagine, I am much less willing to play around with the ladybugs I see all around me because apparently some of them are ill-tempered imposters. Like several weeks ago, I was trying to pick them up off the seats in the windows of the bus, and they were hitchhiking on my book bag, and I was like, come along, we'll have a gay old time. Compare that with the last month or so. Like specifically, one time I was sitting in my night class, and I had like my hand just like resting underneath the table, and I felt something tickle on my finger. And I picked up my hand, and there was one of those bugs on my finger, and I didn't even take the time. I was just like, I don't know what you are, but fuck off! Now, I didn't actually say anything, but I was like, and then I didn't see anyone else in the room notice, but if they did, I'm sure they were thinking to themselves, did you just spaz out from a ladybug on your finger? Or else, and this is funnier, they could have not even seen the bug, in which case I'm just a guy with a DT's like seeing spiders after not getting my latest dose of whatever bad drug I'm sure they already think I'm on. So what's with these false ladybugs anyway? Well, let's break it down. Not what I meant, Goofy Daniel, and you know it. The best website I've seen for a good physical comparison between true and false ladybugs has been diffin.com, link in the doobly-doo. These false ladybugs are called Asian lady beetles, as opposed to true ladybugs, which are technically known as ladybird beetles. Behaviorally, Asian lady beetles are more temperamental than true ladybugs. Sometimes they bite, and sometimes, if threatened, they can secrete a yellow substance that has a particularly unpleasant odor. This is sometimes interpreted as urine, like a scared frog peeing on its holder, but it is my impression that this is actually a form of chemical warfare similar to that of the bombardier beetle. I say this because I'm told it doesn't just reek, it can sometimes burn your skin, and some humans have been known to have an allergic reaction to it. Historically, Asian lady beetles were introduced to the US in order to more effectively control aphid populations because, like true ladybugs, they do eat aphids. Of course, I have been told that they themselves are not above munching on crops, so benefit neutralized? The Asian lady population is now growing and spreading, particularly in these parts of the US. How do you tell them apart? Well, the first thing most people use is the color. Ladybirds and similar beetles come in a variety of colors and designs. But Asian lady beetles are usually around the orange area, whereas ladybugs are a deeper, richer red. From what I've seen, it's also rarer for Asian ladies to have a center spot, a spot which is bifurcated by the division of the wing case. Both seem to have a symmetrical patterning of spots. Asian lady beetles have smaller spots and more of them. One of the things that many have submitted as the definitive indicator of a false ladybug has been the eye spots. These are the characteristic white spots on what appears to be the ladybug's head, but which is actually the thorax. So on true ladybugs, the black portion seems to have more of a fat T shape, and the white spots are much smaller. On the Asian lady beetles, these eye spots, or white cheeks, are much larger, and what little black appears on that body segment is usually in the shape of a W if you're looking at the animal head-on. These same patterns also appear on the head itself. Another important distinction that nobody seems to be drawing attention to, but which I noticed right away in the close-up photos, is that Asian lady beetles seem to have orangish legs, whereas the legs on a true ladybug will always be jet black. All this information is the more discouraging for me, because since learning this information, I have endeavored to look more closely at the ladybug-like beetles that have been swarming my buildings, and wait for it, I have not seen a single true ladybug. They are all nasty, stinky fakes. So I was thinking to myself, well, what can be gained from all this? I was reminded of John Green's latest kick of just disregarding useless opinions on things and how much it can de-stress your life. As a child, it did always seem that part of being an adult was having strong opinions on things, and it did make sense to us. In our kid minds, by the time one is that old, one should know about everything, and therefore be entitled to have strong opinions on everything. But the truth of the matter, of course, is that no adult is, on their 18th birthday, imbued with all the knowledge necessary to form an opinion on everything, nor with the motivation to form an opinion on everything. The former is supposed to be aided by our education system, but that's inconsistent and it can only do so much. The latter, meanwhile, is provided by our culture. One way to seem like an interesting person is to have strong opinions on things. However, as I can attest, having strong opinions on everything does not only make one seem like an interesting person, it also does a remarkable job at making you look like a royal asshole. Just ask anyone who knew me in high school. In hindsight, I probably looked pretty odd when I had such a strong positive opinion of ladybugs that I was holding them and picking them up as an adult. And I probably looked pretty damaged a few weeks ago when I saw a possible imposter ladybug on my finger and swatted it away like a madman. But now I've gained knowledge about how to spot the difference, and I've come to terms with the facts. Facts like, despite these false ladybugs' ability to spray me, they haven't done so once, even as I was trying to pick them up and handle them on the bus. They're just bugs. Like any other bug, like any other animal, they should be respected. Honestly, which is weirder and more alarming? That there are docile-looking creatures out there with defense mechanisms that shouldn't be fucked around with? Or that there are wild creatures out there that we have taken to treating as domesticated pets or good luck charms just for our own superstitious purposes? I mean, wolves look like huskies. Does that mean I'm gonna walk up and try to pet them?
Oh, who's a good boy?
So what does this all mean for me and my not ladybugs? Well, it means that maybe I've lost a pet, but I've gained knowledge. Other than that, nothing else has changed. They still look pretty, they still eat aphids, and maybe they do present a net positive benefit to the environment around here. And if they are a harmful invasive species, I'm sure there are plenty of smart people working on how to stem that problem. As for me, I now know which bugs to play with and which to leave alone. That not only gives me a better way to express my interest in certain insects, but also gives me knowledge that I can show off, which has always been a very fun, valuable resource for me. I'd much rather be known as the guy who knows the difference between true and false ladybugs than the guy who pets ladybugs. I'm good with that trade. And in the end, it works to prove a tired point. New information, emotionally, can be tough to handle, but we're all the better for just accepting the truth. New knowledge has always been more precious to me than anything else, and my main wish for the world is that it is to them as well. I hope it is to you. World, I'll see you tomorrow. Oh yeah, I should mention, I kinda made a blog? Yeah, that's right, a written blog. Aren't I sophisticated? It's called The Phosphoenix, and you'll have to read it to find out why. As you might imagine, making video blogs takes time and other creative resources that currently I don't have access to at any constant rate. You've probably already noticed this from the infrequency and irregularity of my vlog entries. So this is a place where I can write stuff quickly and more regularly without having to worry about practicing a script and editing footage and all that. This will also help me publish some pieces on more timely topics in a more timely fashion, so as to stay relevant and useful, which is a lot of what I want to be for my audience. So for an honest and informed opinion about all sorts of topics, check out The Phosphoenix at the link below. I hope you enjoy it.